Welcome, good people, to the inaugural episode of Books and Bubbles. I am Brianna, and I'm in the healthcare field, but we'll talk a little bit more about why we chose to do this podcast and a little bit more about what the name means. And I have my co host with me.
All right. Hello, everybody. Turn up, turn up, turn up. My name is Brittany. Welcome to Books and Bubbles. Yes, you just heard my co host. That is my beautiful sister, Brianna, and I am Brittany. So, Books and Bubbles with Brittany and Brianna. I hope that you are excited to be here. We are excited about this journey we're going to take together. And as you'll be able to see, Brianna and I are sisters, but we definitely have different personalities. So it's going to be a little bit of something for everybody. So I am in education. I'm a literacy educator in all of the sense of educator. I am from the South Florida area. By educator, I mean I work with students at the secondary level, at the collegiate level. I'm also a student working on my doctorate. So education is what I know. Books is what I've loved since I've been a little girl. And I'm just excited to be on this journey.
Yes. So, what are we doing? So, Books and Bubbles. Bubbles, I'll kind of introduce Bubbles. So, Bubbles just kind of represents what we plan on doing each episode is having some type of bottle of bubbly. And just to kind of kick off episode 0, we do have some bubbly today. La Marca Prosecco is what we have. So we'll kind of introduce what the bubbly is at the beginning of every episode. We'll give you guys the opportunity to pour your own glass of bubbly so you can join in the podcast episode and sip along with us. So just a little bit about the Prosecco. We'll kind of introduce the bubbly and then tell you a little bit about it. So this is a refreshing, crisp, bubbly. Prosecco is a bubbly, so a floral palette. Their website describes it as an aroma of fresh picked citrus, honeysuckle blossoms, and fruity flavors that consist of green apple, juicy peach, and ripe lemon. Lemon. So that's what we're sipping on today. So hopefully you guys will have the opportunity to join in with us. We'll take a second and let you pour up your own bubbly and prepare for this episode with us.
And while you are pouring up, I just want to go ahead and give a little more context to our purpose. So, Books and Bubbles, when you really think about actually having a moment to read, it's almost like luxury or luxurious or just a sense to unwind. And with our busy, hectic schedules, reading, whether it's through traditional means where you're picking up a book or you're actually reading on an iPad or a Kindle, or you are listening to audiobooks while you're cleaning up or in the car, it's really a form of relaxation and you don't get to do it often. So if you finally get a moment to yourself to indulge in a story of someone else, it's time to celebrate that. So every time we come together, we want to celebrate this idea of relaxing, of unwinding, of immersing into a story, and how better to relax than with a glass of champagne. And champagne is always used as a celebratory drink. And we just want to celebrate this experience. And it just kind of helps you unwind and be able to have good conversation about a good book. And I just wanted to give you that. Hopefully by now you poured your glass and you are ready to rock.
Yes, hopefully you are poured up. I also wanted to add in a little bit about your experience with us, that the books that we will be reviewing will be by Black authors. We are both African American women and think it's important to highlight the stories of Black authors really across the world. And during every episode, we will introduce the book for the next month. So that way you guys will have the opportunity to read and digest so you can have this discussion with us.
Yes, this is all about the diaspora. I myself have been obsessed and immersed in African American studies since really high school, undergraduate, grad school. And so looking at the Black experience, not just in the States, not just in the South, not just the East Coast, West Coast, but the Caribbean, Latin America, Asia, Black people are everywhere. And to have books that tell those stories is so intriguing, and it's such an engaging experience. So we're just here to hopefully just share our stories. In the background, you might hear a little bit of soft voice. My niece is here visiting with us. My
Yes.
sister is a new mom. And so we're here representing women, Black people everywhere. And part of this experience and being able to relax and unwind is, especially as a parent, you know that your time is not always yours. And so she's here with us and we're excited. So if you hear a little cry in the back, it's just her giving us a shout out and a confirmation that she is enjoying. And so we definitely understand everyone who hopefully will be in our audience. And we know you will have some aunties just like me with no babies, but support children in a different way. And some moms and some dads who just needed a break and were ready to listen as they were moving along with their very busy days.
Yes. So hopefully she acts right. Daddy's at work. We are going to do our best today. So we want to talk a little bit about ourselves, so you guys have a kind of idea of who we are and what brought about this idea to start a podcast. I know me personally, my sister is a huge reader. Even from childhood, she was like the weird child that wouldn't go to bed because she wanted to read a book.
Judge her.
So I am in healthcare. So my passion has really always been science. I'm the child who breaks things apart, wants to see how it works. So we're different in that aspect, but I do enjoy to read. But a big kind of way that I have chosen to digest and read and indulge into books has been through audiobooks. So I use Scribd, no particular reason, just decided that was the app that was best for me. And so really most of the books that I have read, quotations, recently have been through Scribd and have been audiobooks. I find it easier. I used to commute to work prior to this COVID pandemic. And on that commute through public transportation, I would listen to books. So I am primarily an audiobook person. But Brittany's experience is different. So I'll let her kind of talk about what she likes to do.
I am a traditionalist in the sense of I was old school paper books for the longest. Never really liked hardbacks because they just weren't as fun to snuggle up with. I am now an ebook junkie. The fact that I can finish a book and pick up another book in like 2 seconds, I'm completely obsessed with that. I'm also very fiction oriented. So if we are talking about a fiction book, more than likely I was the pusher of that book. Where if it's nonfiction, that is Brianna all day. I really just enjoy the fictional aspect of a story. It's something about the way fiction and prose are written that just really bring life to me. So we are different in that way. Audiobooks, I rarely audiobook either. I have in my head the voices of characters, and when the audiobook does it wrong, I'm really bothered. To me, it's like watching a movie. It's like, that's not how they look in my mind. So I'm definitely the traditionalist in that way. But I love the fact that together with our powers combined, our book love spans several genres. It definitely encompasses multiple mediums of reading, which is really important because the audiobook lovers are reading just as much, because an important part of learning and comprehending really is being able to hear and listen. So yes, and you hear me sounding like a teacher right now, of course, but definitely. So that's who we are in regards to books.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about genres. So genres that I like, definitely nonfiction. I'm a nonfiction person. I also really love like documentaries and things like that. But I also like historical fiction. I do like fiction that's put in different, time periods. I find that kind of interesting. And self-help books. So, all those like, how can I be a better person? Being introspective and looking inward and trying to improve yourself. So I really do like self-help books, especially lately. And I'll do a dibble and dabble of like a romance novel, but not like the ones your grandma used to read with the white men on the cover, because it's too much. Or the ones that are like overly sexualized, where like they want to go in super detail about like she touched him here, like not those, but just like almost like romantic comedies, but book form. That's more my speed. I don't do the sex your grandma read at night because she don't want anybody to know that she has these thoughts. Not that. But that's kind of what I gravitate towards when it comes to reading and listening to books.
And I'm opposite. I'm romance all day. You would really think I walked around with googly eyes because I'm really not like this in real life. But I'm the Cinderella girl. I'm the romance. I'm the passionate. I want to hear about the passionate lover. Um, I think because I read so much for school and for intellectual means that when I read for leisure, I just want it to be completely just like brain dump. Like I don't want to have to try. I don't want to have to intellectualize. So I'm definitely that person that's like, yes, this is meaningless reading. No shade to any of the authors that I read, but I want it to be funny. I want it to be romantic. I don't have to take notes. If I can start to take notes, it's not leisure. I'll do it, but it's just not leisure. So often when I read, it's definitely those moments where it's like, let me have my notebook out. Let me open up my notes page because I need to write a paper on that later. So definitely different. But we're going to give it all of it to you all. So I think that's what's going to make this moment great, where I'm going to learn to love nonfiction a little bit more, and Brandon's going to learn to love fiction a little bit more also.
Okay. So I think I touched on it before, but these episodes will be monthly. I think it gives you guys enough time to read the book. Everybody has a super busy schedule, so we're not going to anticipate that you're going to read a book in a week or two. So I really do think monthly episodes are what's best for this podcast, just so we can have the best experience. We would love for you guys to have read and digested and kind of criticized and understood whatever book that we plan on discussing, so that we can all kind of have this over air dialogue together. I did want to touch on the last book I read. Brittany reads so often that she probably doesn't remember, but the last book that I kind of like read that wasn't like a parent book. It was This Will Be My Undoing, Living at the Intersection of Black, Female, and Feminist in White America. And that was by Morgan Jerkins. I do recommend it. Was a good book, interesting. So if you're interested, definitely something to pick up. What was the last book you read? Do you remember?
Before I go into mine, can you tell me what would make me want to read that book? Because it sounds super interesting by the title, but outside of feminism, the Black experience, like what made you say this is like a really good book? Someone else should read this.
So I think that to touch on why I even chose to read the book, because prior to this book, I was not familiar with Morgan Jerkins. So really I saw the book, and my experiences, and even currently I work with a predominantly, I guess, non-Black peers. I grew up like that. We both went to, private school. So we were around a lot of Caucasians, and, I went to a predominantly white college for undergrad, but I did go to an HBCU for my doctorate program. Go Rattlers. So,
hate you.
So I think through those experiences that I've had through, elementary, middle, high school, and even now working, and, really my field is predominantly white, that I have had a lot of experiences that have made me, I don't know, I don't want to sound awful, but just a lot of things, I think racism is definitely brought to the forefront when you're working with a lot of people who aren't like you. There are a lot of things that come up, and there are a lot of issues that you experience, now that I'm older in the workplace, that just really, especially in the climate we're in, just kind of rubs you the wrong way. And so I think it's always interesting to read and see the experience of other Black women in America, and see, did you have these same feelings and thoughts? And a lot of what her book talked about was kind of similar to how we grew up. She went to private school. She was kind of privileged in her own way. I think her uncle, I want to say, is Rodney Jerkins. So I think he's like a music producer. So in her own way, she was kind of privileged, living in America. Then when she went to like an Ivy League college. So all of her experiences were very similar, just being around a lot of white people. and her having those same experiences where she had to kind of defend herself as a Black woman. And so I kind of felt like I related to the book in that way. She talked a lot about, those experiences that she had, even finding a partner, because going to an Ivy League college, you meet these other Black men, but she felt like a lot of them were gravitating towards white women or Black women who looked a certain way, maybe a certain skin tone, maybe a certain body type. So interesting book she goes into. It's really a lot about her life and just her experiences. So good read.
That sounds good. You will come to know that Brianna's a little more PC in certain things, and I'm a little more, I don't care about hurting your feelings. So definitely, sounds like a really good book. I remember her telling me I should definitely read it. It sounds like what you are expressing are microaggressions, those consistent moments where it's not overt racism, but it's still racist. And you frequently find yourself as a person of color, more specifically a Black person, having to be like, that's not really appropriate. That's really problematic, that you felt confident enough to say that out loud, knowing how problematic it is. So definitely, that sounds good. So my last book, like I said, probably romance, something I could literally read in a day if I focus. Nothing of any depth that I can think of that I probably was like, this is what I read and it was so enlightening. But we're going to give you all those moments to really have books with a little bit more substance. But like I said, I'm definitely the romance junkie. So that's my last read. That's pretty much where we are. So I think we've done like a pretty good idea in just wrapping, introducing ourselves, kind of getting you all to know who we are. We are on this new journey. So you are not coming with these super experienced people, but people who are novice. And just like you just want to engage in good conversation, I guess we could call this the digital book club type of situationship. A little Black girl magic sprinkled on top. Yeah. And so we're just super excited for that. We're going to take 2 seconds and pause, and then we're going to come back and really talk about what's to come. We're going to talk about February, and February is just a fun month. We know it's a little Black history action, a little Valentine action, and that's really going to set the tone for where we are going, and it's very interesting so far, 2021.
Okay, good people. So we have introduced ourselves, giving you a little background about the podcast. So now we want to talk a little bit about what to expect for episode 1, our first book review. So Brittany's going to tell you a little bit of background about why we chose the book that we chose before we introduce the book.
All right. So you all know that February is Black History Month, but also in the month of February, we have Valentine's Day, the day to just sit back and reflect on love. And I'm a big proponent of love does not necessarily have to be in a traditional romantic relationship, but love with just the people in your lives. And the next book we're going to read definitely has to do with love of all facets. We have some foster care, some adoption going on, some romance going on. And I think it really encompasses the true essence of Valentine's Day. So we're reading Kawana Jackson's Real Men Knit.
Yes, Real Men Knit. Kawana is a USA Today bestselling author. So just to give a little bit of background about the book, so you can kind of anticipate what you'll be reading over the next month. So the book does highlight Jesse Strong. He is one of the 4 adopted sons of somebody they affectionately call Mama Joy Strong, who lives in Harlem. When Mama Joy passes away, she leaves her knitting store. And instead of selling the store, which is also attached to their home, he decides to take over the business. Through taking over this business, he collaborates with one of the employees of the store, whose name is Carrie. Him and Carrie are working in close quarters. Carrie's always had a little crush on Jesse. So through their experiences of her kind of explaining the business to Jesse, them working together to help him take over this knitting business, they kind of fall in love. So there's some drama, there's some romance, but an interesting book. These are both, Kawana Jackson, of course, is a Black author, and these are both Black characters. And what we kind of enjoyed most upon reading the summary for the book was that the main character is Jesse Strong. And, romance novels don't always have a male figure as the main character. So we did find that interesting.
Definitely. So we are excited. So what we would like for our audience to do is that when you come to listen, you've read this book, you're ready to engage in the conversation. You can give us some feedback and you're like, no, that is not the way I saw it. Or, yes, that's exactly what I was feeling. When you look at the book reviews, most book reviews give this book a 4 out of 5. You might read this and be like, sis, that was a 5 out of 5. They are crazy. Or even like, no, definitely not a 4. I was not feeling it. I don't think that's what you're going to do, but maybe you will. We are all subject to our own opinions, and this is a free space where we can just engage in fun dialogue about some very great books. And of course, we got to prepare you for our bubbles. So next month for February, our bubbles are going to come from the McBride sisters, and that is the Black Girl Magic Wines and Rosé. That's just a very fun bubble. Of course it is. It's a little sweet. Some can be a little dry, but we're going to taste the McBride Sisters Black Girl Magic Rosé. You can get the bottle for about $18. Some Walmarts have it, but I definitely know it's at Total Wine. So come prepared to listen, to engage, and to sip on a little bubbly, to relax, to unwind, and just do this thing a little bit different.
Yes, for the sip. So we really do hope that you guys are prepared and have read. Oh, I did want to touch on that the book is not only available in print, but audiobook. So if you're like me and you prefer to listen to a book, that option is available. I know for sure it's on Audible. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I tend to use Scribd. I have not checked if it's on Scribd, but it is on Audible. And of course, you are available to get it. And hard copy is $16. Go to your local library if you don't want to pay. You can always check it out. You can rent. You can also, I'm sure there's an ebook version. Yes. So there's a variety of options. No excuses.
You can definitely do ebooks. You can do it from iBooks or Kindle books. And if you're like me, you're not usually a traditional audiobook person, I know Amazon will allow you to get a sample. And you can listen to a good amount of the book, like a chapter or so, just to get the rhythm and see if it's something you want to do. And I know Amazon Audibles definitely has a deal where if you do the free trial, then you get a reduced copy on the traditional digital ebook. So you can get both in tandem. So let's say I want to read it some, but I'm trying to rush and finish a chapter. I'm just going to listen to the audiobook in the car or while I'm jogging or on a walk or something like that, because we are all trying to get fit and our best 2021 situation happening. Then you can kind of tangle back and forth, taggle, do that whole situation.
Yeah, so I think that's all we have for you guys today for episode 0. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it for you guys embarking on this journey with us. We are so excited to come back next month with episode 1. Anticipate a release date of February 12th. So that is Valentine's Day weekend. That'll give you a kind of introduction to this love story between Carrie and Jesse. Sip on a little bubbly and join in and listen in. So feel free to leave comments. We will always try to kind of address things that are left from the previous episode with the next episode. And we enjoyed you guys.
Yes. And just a reminder, we are not these major literary gurus. We're just two sisters having a great time, engaging in fun conversation. We are here for the books you want to read, want to anticipate. Every month, we are excited about coming to you, doing this new platform, just doing something fun and different. And especially in this COVID world, what we deem as community has completely shifted. And we realize that there's a whole world out there that can be a part of our community and our network. And so we just thank you for taking the time to listen, to engage. Books and Bubbles with Brittany and Brianna. And this thing is going to be crazy. And we're just excited for you to join in our crazy.
Yes, it's going to be like having a conversation with your homegirl over some wine, some bubbly. So we just want to have real conversations. We want to say all the things that you thought about when you read it and have some fun.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you in February.
Yes. Come through February. All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.